Really pumped to be back here talking again about money. So let me tell you all a bit about myself. My name is River Nice. My pronouns are they, them. I am the owner and financial planner of Be Intentional Financial, which I started in 2019. I am based in Philly, but I work with clients all over the US. I've worked with over 200 clients in the past few years, and it has taught me a lot about what people are going through with money and what people need. So I want to tell you a little bit about my personal finance philosophy so you know where I'm coming from. One important thing to name as a financial planner is that capitalism is actively harming us all of the time, right? And it hurts some of us more than others. This is white supremacist patriarchal capitalism. I also want to say that personal autonomy is my top priority. I am not here to tell you what to do with your money or to tell you what to do with your life. I am here to help you think through how money is a tool that you can use to have the best life possible under white supremacist patriarchal capitalism. I also need to acknowledge that money is really emotional, right? We all have a lot of feelings come up when we think about money, talk about money, try to do things with our money, and it makes sense. If money is necessary for every aspect of basic human survival, right? If we need money to have shelter, food, water, healthcare, connection with other humans, then of course we're all going to have fight, flight, freeze, fawn responses when we're talking about money. Of course, we're all going to have trauma responses around money. And we can acknowledge that and still be intentional to work with our money to have the lives that we want. But that's enough about me. Let me tell you about my cat. This is Prince Cassius. He is 11 years old and he is scared of everything. One time we were sitting on the couch and he kind of knocked over a pillow with his tail, scared himself so bad that he hid under the couch for a solid 2 hours. I tried to tell him, it's just a pillow. It's okay. I got down there and was like, nothing to be scared of. It's not a big, scary monster. It's okay. But he wouldn't listen to me. He was just so scared that he lost 2 hours of his little cat life that he's never going to get back. I see people do this with money all the time. You make one impulse purchase, you have one unexpected expense, you don't understand something that somebody says about stocks, and you hide from it for months. And I'm not here to shame you for that. I get it, but I am here to hopefully help you not continue to lose time to hiding under the couch instead of facing the money, So we got to acknowledge that you probably were not taught enough about money. There's a lot of stuff around money. Money is a huge topic, right? Lots of subtopics under there. And you probably weren't taught the implications of taking out student loans. You probably didn't have information about what it would actually look like to pay them back, how long it would take, how it would affect your ability to afford other things. You probably weren't taught how stock compensation works. Even if you are able to get a job that pays you in some form of stock, there was probably a meeting about it where they threw a bunch of terminology at you and maybe you didn't actually understand how it works or how it can be applied to your life and your goals. Maybe you don't understand how the 401k works. You know that some money comes out of your paycheck, but you don't know that you need to then log into the account and make sure that that money is invested appropriately. Maybe you don't know enough about investing in general. You weren't actually taught how the stock market works, what types of investing accounts are out there, how to choose what's right for you, how to think through the ethics of investing. I've had people come to me and say, River, literally what buttons do I click when I log into my investment account? I have no idea what I'm doing. And it makes sense if you weren't taught. You maybe weren't taught how to buy a house or why so many people find it so important to buy a house. As queer people, maybe you weren't taught how we can have kids or how to financially afford having kids, what the options are. Little fun fact there are grants for adoption out there. So if adoption might be in your future, look for grants to help pay for that. And maybe you weren't taught about budgeting, or if you were taught about budgeting, you were taught that it is restricting, dieting, controlling yourself, not having the ability to buy lattes and avocado toast, right? I'm not interested in that. What I am interested in is having a budget tool that helps you be in control of your money instead of the other way around. But if you don't have that framework, if you don't have tools that work for you, then you're probably going to feel overwhelmed by it. And then, of course, being people who live in the US, a lot of us are worried all the time about financial emergencies. If I get sick or the cat gets sick or I get a flat tire on my car, like it's a sudden financial burden. And if I wasn't taught how to prepare for that ahead of time and how to weather it, it can be really destabilizing in my day-to-day life when something comes up. And that also has me thinking about all the different types of insurance out there that is maybe supposed to protect you, protect your family, but between life insurance, renter's insurance, car insurance, pet insurance, disability insurance, umbrella insurance, there's so many different types out there. It can be overwhelming to try to learn what those things are for, when they are useful, how much is reasonable to pay for each of them. And now I'm not listing all of these things to just make you feel more overwhelmed about all the things you don't know. I am listing them to validate that it makes sense that this is hard and overwhelming. And you can still do it. You can break it down into steps and face the money and realize it's not necessarily a big scary monster. Maybe it's just a pillow. But in the situation that you're in, if you don't know enough, if you're feeling overwhelmed and avoidant, then you're probably wasting money and time. And I want to help you stop wasting those. You could be wasting money by not using your stock compensation because you're scared of how it works. You're scared of looking dumb if you ask. You could be losing money to interest on debt or credit cards. You might have savings in a bank account that would be more appropriate to invest and have the chance to grow. But if you don't know how to invest and how to make ethical compromises under capitalism, then you're maybe missing out on that opportunity for the money to be growing over time. This is a huge one that I see from pretty much everybody. We are all spending money on stuff we don't actually care about. And again, I'm not here to tell you anything about lattes or avocado toast, but I am noticing that consumerism and peer pressure are really, really powerful, insidious forces that are affecting us constantly, right? The advertising industry has had hundreds of years to perfect the art of getting us to part with our money without realizing it. I am just one 30-year-old person up against like a 500-year-old advertising industry. Of course it's going to get me sometimes. Of course the Instagram ad is going to like make me buy something I don't actually want once in a while. And the peer pressure, like we are existing in a society where it is really hard to connect with other humans without spending money. When I want to see my friends, we're probably going to go out to brunch or go out to dinner. At least we're going to go out to coffee or go out to drinks. So it's really hard to connect with other people without spending money, unless we're really intentional about it and having useful conversations about it in our relationships. And like I said before, if you're not prepared for emergencies, that is a real quick way to lose out on money, to lose out on a feeling of control and stability, to get overwhelmed and start avoiding the money again. So I want to tell you about Finn. And of course, I've changed names for everybody, privacy, confidentiality. But to tell you about Finn, he's a software engineer. When we met, he was making $140,000 a year, but still trapped in that paycheck to paycheck cycle. They also had accumulated $35,000 in credit card debt. And actually that credit card debt was continuing to get worse, and they didn't understand why. They felt totally out of control of their money. He said, I would really love to travel, but I can't afford it. And then the next thing he said was, I make so much money. I don't understand why I can't afford a vacation. I thought that once I hit over $100,000 a year, I would be able to enjoy my life the way that I wanted to. What's happening? The reality is that he was too scared to look at where their money went. They were hiding. Jessie was also having a tough time. She was in a non-technical role at a top tech company. And honestly, I think she was kind of insecure about that. She was like, I'm surrounded by all these engineers. I'm not a numbers person. And so when she had the opportunity to use an employee stock purchase plan, but she didn't understand it, she was too scared to ask because she didn't want to look like she didn't know what she was talking about in front of the engineers. She just didn't enroll in it. She didn't set it up. What she said to me was, I'm just hoping it works out somehow. And I get that, but it made me so sad. She had worked so hard to start this career, to get this job. She worked hard at this job every day, and she had no real idea of how all of her labor was going to turn into the life that she wanted. She was just like, hopefully I'm doing the correct things, and hopefully it adds up to the life that I want. But what if it doesn't? What if she needs to be taking steps to get what she wants out of life? When I ran the numbers, I realized she could have made an extra $8,000 last year if she had just learned how to use the employee stock purchase plan. So if she had asked for help and spent like an hour on it, she could have made $8,000 with an hour of work. It's a real bummer to miss out on. So maybe you relate to any of the things that I'm saying, and now you're asking, River, what should I do? I'm going to break it down for you. Simplest terms I can. I think that first you should get clear about what you want in this life. Then you should get clear about your financial assets, obligations, and opportunities. And I'll break all those down more in a minute. But then put all those together into a plan of how you're going to use your assets and opportunities to fulfill your obligations and meet your goals. So if you haven't really thought through what you want, I have some questions you can ask yourself, and feel free to take a screenshot of this slide when it's done and journal more about it later. There might not be enough time for you to really think through everything you want out of life during this session, but I do want you to spend time with it. First question, what would I be disappointed that I didn't do? This was a huge one for me. 5 years ago, I was like, wait, what if I never transition? What if I never start my company? I will be so disappointed in myself that I missed those opportunities in my life. Common ones that I hear are taking a trip. I've heard recently someone wants to take a trip to New Orleans before it disappears. Sorry to make it like real and scary, but that's what we're living in. Transition is a big one for a lot of us, or even just like finding a style that looks good, that feels right, creating a wardrobe that makes me excited to get dressed every day. What a cool thing to make sure that I prioritize in this life that I can enjoy. I want to make sure that I save enough money to be able to afford the queer-friendly nursing home in my 80s, right? I would be so disappointed if I got to that stage of life and couldn't afford the cool queer nursing home where we're all just sitting around still talking about the L word for some reason. Spending time with loved ones is a big one. And not just loved ones who are physically here, but visiting our loved ones who live in other places, right? Making sure that we are prioritizing our time and our money towards spending time with the people who matter to us wherever they are. Starting a business, big one for a lot of us, or making a career change, or learning more, or going back to school, or trying something, And then the other question I want you to ask yourself is, what does a perfect random Wednesday look like? Not what does the best day of your life look like, but a random Wednesday, you live your whole day, you get to the end of the day and you're like, oh my God, that was such a good Wednesday. I didn't know Wednesdays could be that good. So maybe spend 20 minutes journaling this, use your 5 senses, think through every step of your day from when you wake up to when you fall asleep. And I think that'll give you a lot of insight into what is actually important to you on the day-to-day, not just the big once in a lifetime opportunities, but how you actually want to be spending your time on this earth. And then you can think about what needs to change in order to get your life closer to that perfect random Wednesday. Maybe you want to live in a different location. Maybe you want to adopt 3 more cats. Maybe you want, like I said, like a wardrobe that makes you actually excited every day. Then you can get clear about your financial assets. So there are the tangible assets, like the money in your savings account, the money in your investment accounts, work benefits, whether you're using them or not. Also, any physical property you own. So it could be a house or a car or a fancy camera, a guitar, your stuff. Those are all assets that you have. And then tangible, like your ability and income. That is probably the biggest asset you will ever have in your life, your ability to turn labor and expertise into money so that you can turn that money into what you want from life. Also, your ability to learn new things, right? You can learn new stuff that can help you make more money or use your current money more effectively or learn things that improve your quality of life. You have the ability to do that. That's a huge asset. You also have a social safety net to some extent, right? Obviously, some of us have more privilege than others. Some of us have people around us with more privilege than others. But I don't think any of you are a total island, only one person, nobody else to turn to for anything ever for the rest of your life, right? If nothing else, you've got the Lesbians Who Tech and Allies community helping you get better jobs, make work better, set up employee resource groups, all that good stuff. But there's probably friends, neighbors, coworkers, colleagues, mentors. There's people around who are an asset to you, who can help you in some way. And I also hope that you have a willingness to make a change, that you're not just, okay, this is what it is every day for the rest of my life, or I am just at the whims of capitalism every day for the rest of my life. But you are willing to do something to take care of your life, to take care of your current and future self and loved ones. Then we can think about what your obligations are. So we've all got bills, right? Those are obligations we got to pay. A lot of us have debt. We have the obligation to repay that debt. Some of us are supporting other people right now, financially, logistically. Some of us will support other people in the future. I'm thinking about aging parents, kids, disabled siblings, a spouse who wants to go back to school, So those can all be obligations. I'm also thinking about my responsibility as a white person to pay reparations to Indigenous and Black communities, right? I have that obligation to do a little bit that I can to make right all of the past current harms of white supremacy. And we can also think about opportunities. So some opportunities could be jobs, promotions, raises, work benefits, right? Sometimes you get lucky and it falls into your lap. Sometimes you got to make your own luck, make the job happen, make the promotion or raise happen, make sure you are getting the most out of your work benefits. Those are all opportunities that you have that are probably going to require some effort from you. You also have this opportunity now that you've heard me speak to go check whether you're spending money on stuff you don't care about. Get clear about your priorities. You have the opportunity to notice what might be helpful for you to learn. Maybe you want to learn something that helps you make your work easier or more efficient. Maybe you want to learn something that helps you make more money in your career. Maybe you want to learn how to manage your money more effectively, efficiently. Maybe you could learn something that improves your overall quality of life, like a hobby or a skill. I'm working on cooking better for myself, cooking food that is better for me specifically. You could also have the opportunity to implement a new system, see if that helps you. I've helped people create systems that help manage ADHD symptoms or just navigate those symptoms when managing money. But all of us have kind of some uniqueness to our brains and bodies and lives. So what might be helpful for you to implement to make your life better that is specific to you? It might be helpful to learn new ways to communicate in your relationship or find new topics to communicate about in any of your relationships. And then there are, of course, systems that can help you manage your money. You could have different accounts for different purposes. You could try different budget apps. You could just get serious about how you're already using tools that you have available. And now once you're kind of clear or starting to get clear about your goals and assets and obligations and opportunities, you can make a plan. And this is the part where, full disclosure, my last career was as a project manager at a tech startup. So this is where the project manager hat comes out. And all the project managers here are going to know exactly what I'm talking about. And the rest of y'all, maybe find your project manager friend and see if you can get a little help with this. But lay out what are your ideal life goals and ideal timelines. And I'm not saying set it in stone. This is how the next 60 years are going to go and nothing will ever change it. But ideally, I want to buy a house in 3 years and have kids in 5 years and retire at 60 and be in the queer nursing home hanging out with you guys when I'm 80, that's kind of ideal for me. And then I can still be adaptable with it. But once I have some sense of what those goals and timelines are, I can break it down into the steps. So if I want to buy a house in 3 years, then I need to make sure that I'm saving up my down payment, make sure that I am looking good to a mortgage broker with how much income I make, make sure that I understand my monthly budget enough to know what kind of mortgage payment I can afford while still being able to pay for repairs on the house, because there's always going to be something that breaks. I can make sure that my credit score is as high as I can get it so that I can qualify for a mortgage, you know? So if those are my 4 big steps, besides like figuring out where I want to live in the world, then I can be working towards those things even though my goal is still 3 years away. That's my project plan. So let's check back in on Finn. They figured out where they were overspending. It was a lot of that subtle peer pressure expectations from other people. There was a big thing where every time they saw their friends, they were expected to bring wine. They were like the wine expert in the friend group. And so they were spending a lot of money on wine throughout the year and not really thinking it through, you know? They also had this habit of buying gifts for other people, even when it wasn't necessarily super helpful to the relationship or super helpful to that person. It was just like, oh, I saw this, I thought of you, I dropped $200 on it, you know? And that can be cute. But if it's causing credit card debt for Finn, then do Finn's loved ones actually want them to be doing that? Is that actually good for all of the people involved? So he got his priorities in order. And once he did that, got clear that like, okay, when I make my paycheck, rent is really important, my bills are really important, and my debt is really important. I want it gone. He got serious and he actually paid off that $35,000 in credit card debt in just 2 years. Really cut back on other stuff that was not that important to him. Then once we looked at those assets and opportunities, they were able to see they had stock options that once we sold some of them, they were able to take a 2-week trip to Thailand without going into debt. It's a pretty big turnaround for a couple of years just to like get serious about the obligations, the assets, the opportunities, and get serious about what is important. And now he's got a sustainable monthly budget so he can afford annual trips to new places. So he said, oh, I wish I could travel. Now he's doing it. And Jessie also had things get better. She asked me for help with the employee stock purchase plan. So we were able to set her up. We also set up a budget for her. And so between her regular paycheck and her employee stock purchase plan, she saved $12,000 in just 6 months. And then she bought a house. And because she's got that monthly budget, she knows that she can afford the mortgage payment and the repairs and the insurance and everything that comes along with being a homeowner. Now she says, I feel a lot more mental and emotional space to think about money and more confident in my decisions about money. That is a night and day difference from, I'm just hoping it works out, you know? So what do Finn and Jessie have in common? Because I'm not just trying to like inspire you randomly, you know? Like I want you to think through what you can be doing here. So both of these folks stopped being scaredy cats, faced what they were scared of, asked for help, stopped wasting money, whether it was by not participating in something because it was scary or whether it was spending money on stuff that wasn't important. They took advantage of that full compensation package that they're working so hard to get. And then they made intentional progress toward their goals. And now their lives are better. So I want everyone to take control of your money, you know? The money doesn't have to control you. The forces that are acting upon us all the time don't have to be in control all the time. We can take action, take control of our own money. Some people are able to do this on their own, but a lot of people do need help, and that's okay, right? You needed help to learn stuff about your job. You needed help to learn stuff about cooking, whatever, how to take care of your cat. So it makes sense to also need to learn how to take care of your money and all the different subtopics underneath the broad money topic. So I want to offer you all a resource. It is 10 places to put extra money when you have it. Big question that I get commonly is, okay, I got the raise, I got the bonus, I got an inheritance or something. What do I do with this extra money so that I don't squander it, so that I don't miss this opportunity to use my asset towards my goals? So this is a resource that will list out in order ideas of where to put the money so that you know what is important to do first or second or third and so on. Of course, it's not perfect. It's not 100% accurate for 100% of people, but it's going to get you started thinking about places that you can put your extra money when you do have it. And then if you are listening to me and you're like, River, I am so serious about needing help. I am so ready to take control of my money. I know that I am making more than what I need to just survive, but I don't know what to do with it to get the life that I want. I am offering an Uncomplicate Your Income planning session with me. So this is for US residents and US citizens only. So either if you're living in the US or you're a citizen abroad, this is for you. Because unfortunately, if you're dealing in currencies other than the US dollar, I just am not very helpful to you. But this is a free half-hour session with me over Zoom, and you can schedule it at talkwithriver.com. I only have 30 slots this week, so if you want it, sign up for it sooner rather than later. talkwithriver.com. Now, before I let everyone go for the day and get into your amazing next sessions for the rest of the afternoon, I want everyone to choose one action step that you're going to take for your money in this week, right? I don't want you to just listen to me for 20 minutes and be like, cool, I'm good. I'm not going to change anything. So it's one action step that you're going to take this week to have better control of your money. Please put it in the chat because you are much more likely to follow through on it if you write it down and if you share it with other people. So your step could be looking at the 10 places resource. It could be the call with me. It could be looking at where you spent your money last month. It could be asking HR about your work benefits. It could be having a conversation about money with your partner, whatever you're thinking of. But go ahead and put in the chat one action step that you're going to take this week. Well, thank you, Lesbians Who Tech and Allies, for having me back again. It is always so fun to come here and talk about money, and I really appreciate everybody's comments and questions in the chat. I'm sorry I don't have a lot of time for questions, but talkwithriver.com, I hope to talk to you.
River, thank you so much. That was amazing. Just wanted to show you some love. So today, for your talk, there was just a lot of love, a lot of laughing at your L-word comment. It sounds like the people in your chat are going to start a queer, I love this. Everyone wants to know about queer nursing homes now. So people are starting their research.